Hi Jim, it's the last game of 2017, Dumbarton away. Can you get your thoughts heading into the match, please?
Yeah, I mean, it's always a difficult period of games, round about the festive period. You know, the conditions can be difficult. Last week's match against Inverness, it was, a swirling wind, driving rain, and it can be really difficult for the players, and you have to adapt to that. And also, having 3 games in a short period of time as well means you've got to look at your squad. But we'll focus on the first one ahead of us, which is Dumbarton, as you mentioned. Always been notoriously difficult to play against. I've said many times a great admirer of the job that Stevie Aitken's done there. And we have to make sure that we perform to a similar standard as we did against Inverness. I thought, particularly in the first half, I thought we were really, we played really well, and only for a top-class goalkeeping performance, I think we would have won the game handsomely. But a different proposition against Dumbarton away from home. The pitch is, I was at the game last week, the pitch is difficult at this moment in time, as you would expect from most clubs. So, we're going to have to roll our sleeves up and see if we can dig a result out.
Dumbarton, as you mentioned, always notoriously difficult opponents. In your time here, it's always been difficult games against Dumbarton.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, he recruits very well. He's got a good blend of experience. Guys like Duffy at the back, Nadie up front. So they've got experience right through their ranks, but they've also got some young players and the likes of Gallagher, Walsh, and I think guys like that who are terrific players and good talent. So it's always going to be a test. But listen, you have to approach this game with a real positive intent. You have to try and take the game as often as you possibly can to them, and see if you're good enough on the day and clinical on the day to get a result. But I said every game brings its own test for the players, and we have to just keep responding to it.
You mentioned about being on the front foot, and you touched on the first half against Inverness was one of the best, probably 45 minutes of the season in terms of your attacking attempt. Yeah,
it certainly was a very a very well controlled game. We moved the ball quick and created a good number of chances, and it wasn't about bad misses, it was about excellent goalkeeping. So from that point, it was really pleasing. The second half was more difficult, as I said. The conditions were very unpleasant for the players, but Inverness, to their credit, as we've said before, had a fantastic defensive record, and you could see why. They left very little space for us, but we had to make sure we managed the game well, and I thought we'd done that very well. We saw the game out well, certainly deserved to win the game, and if we can have a similar type of performance against Dumbarton, then we'll be confident that we can get the points.
At the other end as well, there was obviously the clean sheet, which I'm sure you'll be pleased with. But I know you're not big on the stats, but I was checking it, and I think you've currently got the 7th best defensive record in Scotland in terms of league season. Is that something you take any pride in at all? And I mean, looking at the stats.
I think you always want to be good in all departments, and I think defenders, you want to try and get as many clean sheets as you possibly can. I don't look to see where we pitch in terms of the whole of Scottish football, but like any defensive security gives you a platform to win the game, and I think that's something we've always striven for. Is that organisation and concentration that makes you difficult to play against first and foremost, and if you do that, then if the creative players click on the day as well, then we should be that should gather us enough points through the season.
Ruaridh Langan has signed a contract at the end of the season, Jim?
Yeah, young Rory's he's been in and around the first team now for most of the season. He's he's come off the bench a few times, and a terrific boy, really good attitude, and he's got a real desire to be a regular part of the first team. But we know that he's got a lot of competition in front of him. I've explained that to him, but he's going to relish a challenge. I think it would be great if we could get the opportunity to maybe get him in loan and get him some regular first team games, similar to what we've done with Lewis Strap. But we'll have a look at that over the next couple of weeks. If we get the opportunity to do that, then I think it'd be good for him. But delighted that he's accepted offer to extend his contract at the end of the season, and as I said, it's up to him to try and push forward now and try and show that he's capable of playing regular first team football.
transfer window opens again soon, turn of the year. Any thoughts on business at this point in time?
No, I don't really think too much about it. Oh, of course, you think about it all the time in terms of it. I don't really think too much about it just in terms of the next couple of weeks. It's always there. You're always striving to try and improve your squad. But as I said before, well, every year we've got to understand where we are and the financial situation of the club. We can't just go out and chase players around and throw silly money. The crowds have been down, which is difficult. And as I said, I never criticise fans because it's very difficult and financially difficult for people nowadays. But the crowds are down. That's a simple fact, and therefore we have to try and generate money from every area we possibly can. And it's very difficult at our club. But what we have got, as I've said before, is we've got a bunch of players that really give everything. We've got some talented young players who are breaking through, and that's always going to be important for a club like Morton to try and promote some of the young players. And at the same time, we'll always keep an eye on what's around, and if we can manage to bring one or two in to add something to the team, then we'll try and do that. And all credit to the chairman and the board, they've always tried to support me when that's been the case. So if we feel the right player can maybe add something to us, maybe help us to stay at the top end of the table, then we'll keep knocking on the door and asking the question.
With that, Falkirk, Luca Gasparotto, is there any talk there at all? Or maybe
yeah, no, I've obviously been chatting with Paul over at Falkirk, and we have to make a decision on that quite soon. So we'll do that. We'll speak to, obviously there's different parties involved. Luca himself has to decide as well. Falkirk and ourselves, so we'll have a discussion. But as I mentioned, we've got 3 games in the next week, so we want to really get those games out of the way first, and then obviously get back to week and week games. But I think the focus has to be on the games ahead of us, and then we'll look at the business side of it after that.
Any team news for Saturday then, Jim? Obviously Ricky Lammy's back for suspension.
Yeah, Ricky's back available again, and Ross Forbes obviously missed out last week, and as I mentioned, he's had an inflammation of the knee, and it's been really quite painful for a good number of weeks. But as I mentioned, Ross was just gritting his teeth and getting through it. But we just had to make a decision for him, really, and say, no, listen, you need to step back and try and give it as much of a chance as possible to fully recover. He's been an outstanding player for me for the last couple of years, and we really want him back into the fold as soon as possible. But he's got to be right. He's got to be 100%. So Ross will still be missing for this weekend, but Ricky will come back in, and everyone else who was involved last week is fit and available.
Excellent, Jim. Thank you very much for your time, and good luck on Saturday at Dumbarton.
Thanks very much.